Experienced content marketers have their own tips, tricks, and processes to help recycle their content to provide new value and meaning. It really is an art form, one that can be learned and adjusted to meet the needs of you and your business. Before diving in, recycling content isn't as simple as copy and pasting material from one content format to another. If you want to get the most out of your recycled content, then you'll want to use the ACE method, which stands for adjust, combine, and expand. To start, you may need to adjust content to make sure it provides a good user experience. Ask yourself, what needs to be added, removed, or reworded? Next, you may be able to combine related or unrelated content to provide new value or meaning. Lastly, is there an opportunity to expand on something you've already done in order to dig deeper into that topic? Think comprehensive big picture view. Keeping these three things in mind, let's review a proven method on how to repurpose content, one that I've been using religiously for years. Please note, this is not the only way to go about repurposing content. This method is especially helpful for lean content creation teams that want to get the most out of their time. When recycling content, think from the ground up, like the growth of a tree. Every healthy tree has three things: roots, trunk, and a crown, which is made up of multiple branches. Think of your roots as a series of short-form content like blog posts, social messages, and videos. The purpose of roots is to form connections, bonds with other roots that grow into a tree, which produces a trunk. Think of that trunk as a long-form content offer, like a guide or an ebook. And what grows from that trunk? Branches. Think of each branch as an extension of your content offer into a new format, like a webinar or an infographic. Your content marketing plan should be filled with a forest of trees that have strong roots and branches. Interesting concept, right? But how do you do it? What you need is an end goal, something that can be grown into. If you have an end goal, like a comprehensive guide, then weekly content creation activities like social media and blogging can serve a much larger purpose to supporting your overall content marketing plan. Don't create content just to create content. If your goal is to attract, engage, and delight your potential prospects into valuable customers, then you should look to the buyer's journey for all of your buyer personas. Think of each content idea that provides value to your buyer persona's journey as a seed. This seed is something that can be planted. And if you consistently nurture that seed, then it will sprout and start to develop a foundation of roots and grow into a healthy sapling. And if you continue to nurture it, that sapling will go on to develop into a mature tree with strong branches. Simply identifying content in the buyer's journey will cultivate strong seeds for your content creation efforts. To better understand this concept, let's build a comprehensive guide by identifying the seed first. To determine your seed, you need to have an idea that you care about, something that you're willing to nurture and help flourish. Here's an example of how I did it. My wife Ariel and I are wanderers. In 3 years, we've traveled over 50,000 miles while working full-time from the road. Through our journey, we've learned how to repurpose everything in our lives to reduce clutter, including our truck. Meet our truck, George. George is a 2009 Ford F-250 Super Duty work truck. George may look like your average work truck, but looks can be deceiving. He's much more than that. Ariel and I decided to repurpose George into a storage unit that also doubles as a camper. We know we're not the only individuals trying to live this alternative lifestyle, so our goal is to help other like-minded minimalists by documenting our experience and creating an in-depth, step-by-step guide to help them convert their vehicle into a functional living space. Here's how we created a 76-page guide over the course of 2 months using Instagram, YouTube, and our blog. Step 1, identify a content format and topic. We know our audience is made up of do-it-yourselfer project enthusiasts. Keeping this in mind, we knew we wanted to create a step-by-step do-it-yourself guide on how to convert a truck into a truck camper. This is the overarching idea or the seed for the tree we want to produce. We had to identify this first before planning it and developing the roots. Step 2, make a list of supporting subtopics. The important thing to consider here is choosing subtopics that are strong enough to provide value by themselves, but also complement other subtopics that align with the specific topic we're writing about. These are our roots. We need these to grow into a strong, compelling offer. When identifying supporting subtopics, list as many ideas as possible. The more subtopics you can identify, the better. It's only going to strengthen your roots. Which brings me to step 3, choose the strongest supporting subtopics to recycle into your content offer. If you have extra subtopics, then you can use these down the road for potential content ideas in support of the overall theme. Here's a pro tip. If you already have content created for one of your subtopics, then consider choosing that as a subtopic to repurpose into your guide. However, if it doesn't make sense, or if there's a subtopic that's yet to be created that would be more relevant, then don't include it in your repurposing plan. Remember, always solve for your audience first, not your business. Notice how we identified building a rooftop deck on your vehicle as a subtopic, but decided not to include it in the guide. I attempted multiple variations of the rooftop deck build, but just couldn't get it right. Instead of letting that subtopic bog down progress, we decided to leave it off the list and do it later. All right, here's the outline for our guide. We identified a topic for the content offer we plan to create, and to help us get there, we identified a series of subtopics that we could create a blog post for first. Then, once all the blog posts are created, we repurpose that content into chapters within our guide. This approach allows us to focus on creating content for each subtopic as opposed to thinking about the entire guide, making the process more manageable and less overwhelming. Moving on to step 4, create content for each subtopic. Before we started writing each blog post, we worked through each project and documented our progress via Instagram. We chose Instagram to document our journey because this is our primary social media channel where we engage with our audience. You should choose the social media channel your audience uses most. Here's a pro tip. When doing research for the content you're creating, jot down interesting things you think would be valuable to share via your social channels. These could be things like stats, quotes, or anything else you think you can explain within a limited character limit. This is a great way to keep a consistent flow of interesting, helpful content published to your social channels. Once we had the content we needed for a given subtopic, we wrote and published a blog post for it. For visual aids, we embedded Instagram photos throughout each blog post where it made sense to include them and provided value. And to take our user experience a step further, we repurposed our blog content into a video. We hosted the video on our YouTube channel and embedded it near the top of the blog post. This was a nice value add for readers as it gave them the opportunity to engage with the same content in a different way. Again, the video content follows the same story of our Instagram page and our blog post, but it's in a different content format on a different distribution channel. Let's say, for example, someone is looking to weatherize their truck cap and they go to Google to perform research. This is what the search engine results page would look like. Notice how we claim 3 organic non-paid listings at the top of the page for this search query. The featured snippet, which is Google's way of answering your query without you having to click through to the page to learn more, the first listing within the video results section, and finally, the coveted #1 ranking on Google. Clicking through the first listing takes you to a blog post on our website. Notice how we lead with a more engaging experience by offering a relevant video that's embedded from our YouTube channel near the top of the page. In fact, this video is the same video that's featured twice above the #1 Google result listing. We did this because we know we have a visual audience, one that prefers video content over text-based content. Scrolling down the blog post, notice how we sprinkle in images and embed relevant posts from our Instagram channel to help break up our text. Are you noticing a trend here? Not only are we telling a cohesive story across multiple channels, but more importantly, we integrated all the content formats together. Our site visitors now know our other content channels and can choose to engage and follow us there as well. Let's move on to step 5, download or create a template for your guide. Once we had all the content we needed to repurpose into our guide, we downloaded a free ebook template from Hubspot's marketing resource library. If you're looking for marketing resources and templates for various content offer types, then you should definitely check out Hubspot's marketing resources library. From resources about lead generation to building editorial calendars, there's something for every content marketer. Step 6, recycle blog content and format it into chapters. We recycled all the blog content we created, various Instagram photos, and YouTube videos to help build the majority of our comprehensive guide. And while we could have just copy and pasted the content, we adjusted, combined, and expanded upon the content we already created to provide additional context and value within the guide. Here's a pro tip. If you're looking for a way to set yourself up for content that can be easily expanded upon, consider using bullet pointed lists in the original piece you create. For example, we frequently use bullet pointed lists in our blog posts to make it easier for people to sift through our content. Doing this also makes it easier for us to repurpose our content in the future because we can expand upon that bullet point into several sentences or a paragraph. Moving on to step 7, create the rest of the content needed to complete your guide. Once we finished our chapter content, all we needed to do to complete the guide was write an introduction and a conclusion. Effective writers always wait to do these tasks last. By nurturing continuous growth of the roots, they helped form into our step-by-step guide. And there you have it, an effective way to form a long-form content offer by making sense of and recycling a series of short-form content initiatives. But we're not done yet. We still have one last step. Update the calls to action on your blog post to connect everything together. Because each of our blog posts were created before the content offer launched, we didn't have a relevant call to action to offer. Instead of just leaving the call to action out, we allowed visitors to subscribe to our email updates. This way, we could promote the guide to them once it was available. Once the offer launched, we went back and inserted a call to action image in each blog post to promote the guide. This method of creating and repurposing content can work for any type of content offer you want to create. You just need to take the time to plan out the contents of your offer and make use of your weekly content activities. If you're looking for a place to start, consider organizing your weekly short-form content initiatives to grow into monthly or quarterly campaigns tied to a content offer. This will help identify connections more easily and get into a rhythm to become a content repurposing expert. Once you have a content offer, start thinking about how you can recycle this content. Ask yourself, how else might this content be consumed? If you're looking for a place to start, then consider looking to your buyer persona's journey. Not only will this help ensure you're creating content with a purpose, but more importantly, this will help keep your message consistent through each stage of the buyer's journey. To better understand this, let's quickly recap our guide example. We identified a format and topic for an offer we wanted to create, built a foundation through a series of Instagram posts, videos, and blog posts, and we recycled that content into a comprehensive guide. Now let's review how we could branch out this content into new formats for our buyer personas to consume. To start, what about recycling our guide into a slide deck? We could use that slide deck to host a digital training or a webinar. This could be a great opportunity to create a more engaging learning experience for our audience. One where they have the opportunity to ask questions and learn more about our thought leadership and what we have to offer. We could take key information from each chapter and create a slide for it. This would help condense the information while still communicating the value in a more visual way. And we could upload the recording of our digital training to our YouTube channel and embed it on a page on our website. Additionally, and now that we have a slide deck, we could post a slide share and embed it on our website underneath the recording of our digital training video. What about recycling our slide deck into an infographic? Infographics are a great way to visually tell a story. They're also great attention drivers that can help get the word out about the guide. We could write a blog post about the infographic and share it across all of our social media channels. What about recycling our infographic into a video graphic by animating it and adding a voiceover to provide additional context? We could upload to YouTube, write a blog post about the video graphic, and share it across all of our social channels. What about recycling our guide into an automated email series? We could help organize the project by splitting up each chapter into a series of emails over a specific span of time. This could make the content more digestible as opposed to reading it all at once. We could offer a landing page that allows people to subscribe to the email series, helping to hold them accountable to their transformation. What about recycling the email series into a podcast? We could recycle the email content into an audio episode. This way, people could listen to our content while actually doing the project. We could offer a landing page that allows people to subscribe to the podcast and host through SoundCloud, Podbean, or iTunes. As for our example, after going through this process and making many trips to the hardware store for materials and tools, we decided to first recycle the guide into a checklist. This way, if the reader wants to get started on their project, they have everything they need to stay organized. I really could have used a checklist during our build. And because we used the content from the guide to create the checklist, it only took us a few hours to complete. That's what I call efficiency. The opportunities to recycling content are endless. Just make sure to always keep in mind the buyer persona and the buyer's journey to make sure you're getting the most impact out of your efforts.